I know it's late, but it's time to talk about the Big Brother final. I was there last night and I'm just home. The car broke down on the way home from London. Oh my god. But do you know what? We need to discuss. This was me last night after the final, and do you know what? It was fun. We were the outside audience standing at the stage where they usually interview them, but they thought it was going to rain last night. So we seen them coming out, seen AJ and Will, seen all that. So I'm going to make a separate video about the semi-final, the final and all that. But now, let's talk about the actual show. So we were standing outside, the projector show up onto the top of the building, and I was like, yes, yes, yes. Cameron, Cameron, Cameron. As you know, I was happy for Cameron or Richard to win, right, but I'd voted for Cameron. I actually think I put 4 on Cameron and 1 on Richard. Will and AJ were announcing the person who came in 6th place, and we were all going, it's going to be Emily, it's going to be this person, it's going to be that person. And they said Tate, and everybody was like, oh, I forgot Tate was in there. So Tate comes out. Next, it was Emily. And you know what? See, when Emily came out, bless her, she looked like so happy to be there. Next. Well, it was Cameron. And I will tell you, I was upset. Actually, talking about being upset, at the very start of the episode, we seen like the wee dinner party bit. And every year when I watch Big Brother, it doesn't matter if I like the contestants or not, right? See, when they have their wee final dinner party, I always tear up. But I was kind of thinking, thank God it's only a tiny wee, like 5-minute segment. Because if you watch the other Big Brothers, you'll know that they drag this out. It's like, they have the dinner party, there's like 4 people left in the final, and they go, oh, remember when this happened? And the whole show is like a montage. Do you know what I mean? It's like recaps of the whole season, and I can't stand it. So I was glad they just did the wee dinner party, but I was standing and I was tearing up. I had all these people around me and I was like, oh my god, like, don't cry. Like, thank God I've got my lashes on and not mascara, right? But I'm just upset because it's finishing, and you know how much I love Big Brother. I was also standing thinking, you know, manifesting my way into the house next year. I was thinking, do you know what, I'm really going to have to start putting out some outfits. So anyway, Cameron came out, he was in 4th place, and I couldn't believe it. He came out, his wee happy face, I was just like, I was upset that he came in 4th. Now, during the time of standing outside, there was one guy in particular, I'm pretty sure his name was Ian. I'll get back to you on that because I'm going to make a separate video about the whole thing, but he loves Elsa. Right. If you were watching it and you heard actually somebody shouting, Elsa to win, like the loudest scream, I've never heard anybody project like this in my life. This guy loves Elsa, right? So I was like, oh my god, man. And I gave him a cuddle right at the start because I says, oh, that's a sin, you're going to be really disappointed when Elsa doesn't win. And as it was whittling down, I thought, oh, I'm going to look like a bit of a dick here because Elsa's actually going to win, and I've gave this guy a cuddle and gave him a wee pat on the back and says, like, you'll be alright, right? So then next, Jenny came out. Now, up until this point, the amount of people that were booing Jenny, get Jenny out and all that, right? It was quite a lot. So I was surprised that she came in 3rd. Obviously, that's just a small portion of the population, right? I don't know how many people was there. Let's say like 200 to 300, if even that, right? But see, when they were closing the votes and then they says the votes opened again, like, we don't have our phones because they're all locked away. So we're like, we want to vote, right? Not that it would have made much of a difference because Will and AJ were saying how close it was. And you know what? It wasn't that close. It was down to Elsa and Richard, and I genuinely started to think, what if Elsa wins this? And the guy who like pure loves Elsa, he was shouting, well, remember I told you in day 1, Elsa to win, Elsa to win, and he's doing, who do you think will win? And Will says, oh, we don't know who's won, but like, Richard was the favourite to win, but maybe Elsa's took over him or whatever. All we know is it's really close. It wasn't close. Elsa came in 2nd, and do you know what? See, when Jenny and Elsa came out that house, not that I'm saying that Emily wasn't good looking, right, because she was, but when I seen her, she was like pure smiling and like, I didn't really get a good look at her face. But see, when Jenny and Elsa came out of that house, they were really pretty. I don't know if it's just because of the lights for the cameras or what, but like, they were so pretty. Their hair was lovely and everything. I was like, ah, wow, they really look amazing. Jenny's hair was so shiny, not a hair out of place. So Richard won! Yes! So we got to see Richard's interview. To be honest, see when you watch it projected in the top of the building, see the lasers that you see on the Late and Live show, they keep them on, so you're watching the screen through the lasers like being projected, right? So we weren't really paying that much attention, but they didn't really press for anything. There was no drama. It was just like simple wee questions, and I thought, oh, maybe there's going to be another bit where they ask some questions later. So I was staying in a Harry Potter themed Airbnb, and I've got videos of it on here. I'm going to be posting more if you want to check them out on my channel. But we went back there, right, and somebody messaged me and says, oh my god, it's all kicking off in Late and Live. And I was like, what do you mean? I thought that was the end of the show. But no, it turns out that there was more. So I was watching that in the car on the way back. And this is where AJ and Will revealed the results of the vote, the percentages. So, I was surprised at everything. First of all, Tate and Emily had 3% of the vote. Now, keep in mind, right, see when Will usually says, we've had over 1 million votes. Very impressive, right? But each person's got at least 5 votes each. So, we need to factor that in. But basically, Emily and Tate got 3%. I would have been embarrassed, but then like Tate and Emily says, well, we didn't even think we were going to get into the final. And I says, good point. Cameron got 10%. And I think that Cameron had much more of a chance of getting like a lot higher score than that until the spoon situation, and then until people found out that his land is worth 6.5 million. Makes no difference to me. If somebody was in that house with £100 million and I thought they were a better person and I thought they were a nice person, they would get my vote. I wouldn't be voting for them based on what they need the money for, what they're going to spend the money on, or anything else. It's personality and character alone. Jenny got 17% of the vote, and then Elsa got 28% and Richard got 39%. That's not close. That's not like just a small percentage in between. That's like 100,000, more than 100,000 difference. Really depending on how many people actually voted, but percentage-wise, that's not close. I mean, it's not like if 500 people joined and they all gave somebody 5 votes, then we wouldn't change it. So this was like the reunion show, and they had the housemates say who they didn't want to win when they came out the house, and then they showed it to everybody. And when Nancy was talking about Jenny and she says, I don't trust her, I think she's sly, like blah blah blah, all the usual shit. Like she listed all these reasons, right? And then they says, oh, you had a lot to say about Jenny in the diary room. And Jenny was like whatever, right? And then Nancy says, oh, you can watch it back. I just says, I'm sitting here now, you can tell me to my face. Why do you feel the need to go into the diary room and say stuff? I'm here. Hello? Fucking use your mouth. So then they were talking about being upset because Jenny celebrated too soon after Sam left. And then AJ says, oh, she's not the only person who celebrated. And they showed Sam and Nancy in the storage room, or the stock room, or whatever it was, dancing, right, when Facial left. But they were not dancing like, yes, Facial is gone, right? They were like, oh yes, we stayed, because they were up against her. And I kind of didn't understand why that was brought up. Richard got the most votes for people not wanting him to win, and he's just kind of like, well, you know, he still won. They were asking Caroline what she thought, and she says, like, Richard wouldn't have won without me. It was a pantomime. Gani said the same, and do you know what? I have to agree. I don't think that if it wasn't for the way Caroline treated Richard, I don't think that he would have won, but he did, and that's all that matters. So that was that. Richard won. Thanks to everybody who's been watching my videos. I've actually had people messaging me the day and yesterday and saying, like, I've really enjoyed your videos and I'm going to miss them and all that. And I'm like, oh my god, that is so nice. But you know what? Watch Big Brother Australia, because I'm making videos about that. I'm going to be making videos about Maths Australia and Love Island. And I would like to say I'll be back next year to make videos. But you know what? I'm manifesting being in the house. Bye.